Hey boys and girls, if you really want to learn all about the equipment on a fire engine, you just have to watch Firefighter George and Fire Engines, Volumes 1 and 2. I will show you how every piece of equipment is used in real, live action. And if you love trains like I do, then Firefighter George and Steam Trains and Firefighter George and today's Mighty Trains will teach you how these mighty engines work. I will show you how the coal burns to make the trains go and how the circus animals ride on the trains. And if you love airplanes, then you just have to watch Firefighter George and Amazing Airplanes, where we get in the cockpit of an F-15 fighter jet. Learn plane safety, learn how planes fly, and salute the Blue Angels. Startsmarter videos teach you how to enjoy these big machines safely. This video has 2 lessons. Let's start lesson 1. All right, boys and girls, are you ready to learn all about our mighty trains? Hey boys and girls, I'm Firefighter George.
And I'm Firefighter Christy. And today, we have a very exciting day planned for you.
Exciting indeed. We're gonna learn all about the trains that you see driving around your city and sometimes in the country. First, we're gonna learn all about the freight trains. Now, freight trains carry cargo like TVs or food or toys to the stores so you can buy them. We're also gonna learn how the engineer moves his levers and gears to make the train go forward or stop, or to make the loud whistle go hoo-hoo!
And then we're going to learn about Amtrak trains. Amtrak trains carry people all over the country, from California to Georgia. They go all over the place.
Cool.
Then we're going to learn about electric trains. Electric trains go through cities. They're like subways.
After that, boys and girls, we're gonna see a circus train that carries the animals, like elephants and horses, from city to city so you can see them at the circus. And most importantly, boys and girls, we're gonna teach you how to stay safe with all of our train lessons. Now come on, let's go have some fun on the trains today.
Let's go!
Come on, boys and girls. Look at our mighty trains. Ever notice when you're driving down the road that things fly into your window? Well, that's because of the suction from the air being sucked into it. Sometimes, if you're standing too close to the train, it's going to pull you into the tracks. So you always, always, always must stand as far away from the tracks as you can. Just because you're not on the tracks doesn't mean you're safe. You have to be very, very far away. Now let's go get in the cab and see how the big engine goes down the tracks. Come on. Okay, boys and girls, we're up in the cab of the locomotive, also called the engine. I'm going to show you how it works. This lever right here, the one with the red handle, that controls all the brakes on all the cars of the train. Sometimes the engineer just wants to slow the train down a little bit, and he'll use that lever. This black lever right here, this is what controls the brakes on the locomotive. So that's just the brakes for just the engine. And he'll hit that when he wants to slow just the engine down, and he controls both of these to make sure all the slack stays out of the line. This lever right here is called the throttle. The throttle is what makes the engine go fast or slow. He has 10 notches. One notch is for stop. Another notch is for idle, when he just wants the engine to be going, but he doesn't want to go anywhere. Then he pulls the first notch, and the train starts going. Pulls it a little more to the second notch, and it starts going faster. To the third notch, to faster. All the way up to 8 notches when he's going really, really fast. Then again, he can slow it down by pushing those back down to lever 1 or notch 1. This lever right here is what's called the reverser. The reverser is what makes the train go forwards or backwards. So he pulls that forward and the train goes forward. He pushes it back and the train goes into reverse.
Okay, this is the bell. You use it to let people know that you're out here. And here is the whistle. Woo, woo.
Where is the steering wheel?
Okay, boys and girls, there's no steering wheel on a train. The train basically goes where the tracks are. A train can go forwards and it can go backwards, but it can't go side to side unless there are tracks there. It can only go where the track goes, and that's something else. The engineer can only go where the track goes. The switch operator is the man who controls which track the train is going to go on and where it's going to head to. So once again, the engineer controls the train and lets it go starting and backwards, but that's about all he can do. He can't go right to the left or steer like a truck can. Now let's go down and look at some other parts of the train.
6900 head in, clear northbound. 6900, here we go.
Now the engineer moves the reverser lever to forward, pulls the whistle cord, and moves the throttle 2 notches. Here we go. Look at this mighty train go. Now it is time to stop, so the engineer is putting on the brakes. And he moves the throttle back to stop. Okay, boys and girls, when the big locomotive is coming down the tracks, it has to warn everybody that it's coming. It has to say, hey animals, hey cars, hey people, hey trucks, get out of the way. How does it do that?
By a whistle.
Right, it has a whistle that goes, whoo, whoo. That tells everybody, I'm coming down the tracks and you have to get out of the way. What else does it have?
Lights.
It's got a big bright light at the front of it. See the light at the front of the train? That's going to warn people, I'm coming and you need to watch out for me. That's especially helpful in the dark or when they're in a tunnel. It has one more thing. Yes?
A bell.
It has a bell. Every time the train moves, a bell is going to start to ring, whether it's going forward or backward. And that's going to warn everybody to get out of the way. We can't be in the way of the locomotive. Like we talked about, that mighty locomotive weighs 400,000 pounds. Along with all the trains attached to it, sometimes there's 100, sometimes 200, it could weigh 12 million pounds.
Whoa.
That's going to take a full mile to stop. Now children, you are way too close to the train tracks. If you're standing here, you're not safe. You must always be very, very far away from the railroad tracks. Okay, boys and girls, what we have here is a diesel-electric locomotive. It's also called the engine for the train. Now, it's called a diesel-electric locomotive because it runs on diesel fuel. It burns diesel fuel, but that diesel fuel makes electricity. Then the electricity drives the motors that are on each individual wheel. Let's go take a look. Come on. This train sure is loud. You can barely hear me talking. Right here are the wheels. And like I said, they're driven by electricity. Now something really neat here. These are steel wheels, and they're steel because of how heavy the train is. It has to support all this weight. Now something really neat. Down in here, everybody look. Down in here, there are little sprayers that spray sand onto the track in case the engine ever starts to slip. So the wheels are slipping. That way it won't slip so much. Let's watch some more mighty trains now. Let's ride through this 1,000-foot tunnel from the pilot of this mighty train. Okay, boys and girls, now we're going to get some very, very important safety lessons, so I want you to listen very carefully.
Now, boys and girls, you know it's always very important to stay off of train tracks, right?
Right!
Even if you don't think they're being used. Maybe there's rust on the rails, or maybe there's some weeds growing in the middle of the tracks. It doesn't mean there won't be trains on it, so always stay clear.
Right, because freight trains run whenever they want on any schedule. They're not like a passenger train. You never know when they're going to come. Number two, train tracks are private property. That means the railroad company owns these tracks. That means if you go on the tracks, you're trespassing. And that's illegal. And we don't want to be put in jail, do we? No. So we always stay off the tracks, we stay out of the rail yards, and we never, ever, ever go into tunnels. Because tunnels are only big enough for the trains. They're not big enough for you or me. So let's go learn about some trains. Come on.
The trains, yeah.
Let's go!
Look, more mighty trains. The conductor is at the front of this mighty train to make sure everyone stays out of the way and stays safe. Only people who work for the railroad should ride on the outside of the trains. Let's all wave goodbye to the passengers.
Okay, boys and girls, now what kind of car is this? What is it?
A hopper car.
Excellent, it is a hopper car. Now what do they carry inside of a hopper car?
Sand. Sand and flowers.
Sand, flour, rocks, grain, lots of things, right? Well, how do they get it inside?
There's doors on top so they can fill the sand in.
Very, very good. Now, they've got everything in. How do they get it back out?
The door's at the bottom.
Through the bottom, right?
Yes.
They're gonna take a big tool, stick it in right here, crank it around, and all the stuff will come out. Now this hopper car is covered, so when the train is going through the countryside, it won't get wet if it rains, and it will be protected from the sun. You guys ready to see another car?
Yeah!
Come on, let's go!
See the different kinds of covered hopper cars?
And this is another hopper car. This hopper car is uncovered. It doesn't have a roof. You can only put things inside of it that can get wet, like rocks and stones and dirt.
See the different kinds of open-top hopper cars?
All right, now who knows what kind of car this is?
A flat car.
A flat car. Now, what would they carry on a flat car?
Ladders.
down trees, some timber. Sometimes they might even carry cars on a flat car. And if you'll notice, a flat car doesn't have any sides. It doesn't have a roof either. Just a big flat tabletop. Pretty cool, huh? All right, let's go see something else. Come on, let's go.
See the different kinds of flat cars?
And who knows what kind of car this is?
A boxcar.
A boxcar, excellent. What might somebody keep inside of a boxcar?
Toys and TVs and food that can't get wet.
Great, definitely. Now, if you'll notice, a boxcar is a box on wheels, right? It has sides, it has a roof, and it has a big door that slides open and closed. You can keep anything in it, from cans of peas to magazines. Pretty cool, right? You guys ready to see something else? Yeah, let's go!
See the different kinds of boxcars.
And who knows what kind of car this is?
Tank car.
Excellent, a tank car. Now, what might they put inside of tank cars?
Water and gasoline and oil.
Yeah, things that are liquid, right? Anything that's liquid is going to go inside a tank car. It's a big cylinder, so you can fill it up with milk or gasoline or soda, anything, water. Now, are we ready to see another train?
Yeah.
All right, let's go, come on.
See the different kinds of tank cars.
Look, boys and girls, this mighty train is entering our rail yard, bringing new cars from all over the United States to be delivered. Now that the rail yard has new cars, Engineer David is ringing his bell to let everyone know that he is going to start moving the cars around in the rail yard. Brakeman Jeff moves the switch to let the mighty train go onto a different track to get new cars. And now they start to couple up all of the new cars to put them in order to be delivered to the right places. After the trains couple, Brakeman Jeff radios Engineer David that he is moving into the middle of the two cars to connect the air hoses and for Engineer David to stop the engine. After the hoses are connected, he carefully opens the valve to cut the air into the brake lines so the train cars can stop. Now he carefully steps out of the middle of the two cars and radios Engineer David that it is safe to move the train again. All through the day, new trains continue to arrive into the rail yard, bringing new cars to be delivered. Rail yards and railroad tracks are private property, and you should never, ever enter without permission. Railroad yards are filled with heavy, moving equipment and other dangerous hazards. You just can never know when a train might move or come by. Railroad employees are specially trained and experienced, and you should never try to do any of these activities. Brakeman Jeff is now telling Engineer David it is safe to move the train backwards again. Let's all wave goodbye to Engineer David and Brakeman Jeff. All of the train cars are connected, so they are going to leave the rail yard and deliver the cars. Okay, boys and girls, look what we have here. We have the Caboose. Now, who knows who rides in the Caboose?
The conductor.
The conductor does. Now what the caboose is it's the office of the conductor. Now the conductor is the man who's in charge of the whole train. Now on passenger trains, the conductor takes tickets, right? From all the passengers. But on freight trains, we don't have any passengers. So what do? The conductor is in charge of all of the cars. The hopper cars, the tank cars, the flat cars, the box cars. He knows where all of the cars go, right, McKay?
Yes.
So what he does is he sits in here and he takes care of all the business of the train. Now he also is going to be able to do all the paperwork for the train. He's gonna be able to run the switches, to move the train from this track to that track. He's going to be able to make sure the brakes on the train are still working. He is going to be able to watch everything that's happening on the train to make sure it's safe. And that's his job as conductor. He's in charge of the train, and he has to make sure everything is working. Now, who else might ride in a caboose?
The brakeman.
Right, the brakeman might. Now, let's go inside and see what's inside of the train. Come on.
Yes, let's go.
Wow. Whoa. What are these?
Okay.
This is where the brakeman and the conductor sleep.
So when they're on a long journey, a long trip, they have a place to go to bed at night. Who wants to try the bed out? Climb over there on the bed. Look how big and comfortable that bed is. Now look, boys and girls, this is Eric. He's the brakeman today. He's going to tell us what his responsibilities are.
Well, the brakeman is responsible for throwing the switches, coupling up the cars, making sure everything on the train works right. Of course, he also has a lot of paperwork to do.
So he's going to use this desk right here, boys and girls, to do all the paperwork, to say which train cars have left the train and which ones have been added that might be going to new cities. But this is his office right here, along with the conductor. Okay, boys and girls, on the middle of the caboose is the cupola. This is where the conductor and the brakeman sit to look out above the train to make sure everything's safe. We can get way up high. Come look. We can get way up high in here and look out of these windows. This gauge over here is the pressure gauge that the brakeman and the conductor watch to make sure there's enough line pressure in the brakes so that all the brakes are working on the whole train. And he can use these devices here to activate the brakes if he needs to stop the train for an emergency.
Cool.
Now, as you can see, James is sitting in this seat. What he can do is they can sit in these seats and look all the way out forward. See how they can look over the whole train and see what's happening. That way they can make sure the train is staying safe, which is the most important job of the conductor and the brakeman, making sure it stays safe. Now let's go look at the front of the caboose.
Okay, sometimes, boys and girls, the conductor and the brakeman have to go to the bathroom. When they have to go to the bathroom, they go right in here.
Wow, there's a special bathroom for them right here on the caboose. Let's go look and see what they do in the front of the caboose.
Cool.
All right. Now who knows what this part of the train is?
The kitchen.
It's the kitchen. Look what they have. They have a stove with a heater in it to keep them warm. What about over here?
The sink.
The sink. What about this?
A table.
A table to cut their vegetables up with. What about this?
A refrigerator.
Refrigerator to keep their food cold.
There's also a water tank.
Cool.
They have to get water if they're going to stay here, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is going to make them be able to sit and sleep on this bed, cook their food, make sure the train is staying safe, do all of their paperwork like your homework, make sure the brakes are running properly, and basically live in this area. Now let's go look at another part of the train. Come on. Can you see junior engineers James, Coley, and Quint up in the cupola? Cabooses are fun to ride on in train museums, but you must always have an adult like Brakeman Eric with you to keep you safe. Now, cabooses aren't used by the mighty freight trains anymore, but you can still see them and ride them at train museums. Instead, freight trains use these end-of-train devices to monitor the brakes, which sends signals to the engineer and brakeman that everything is working and safe. Let's start lesson 2 now for older junior engineers. Okay, boys and girls, we know that the steam engines get their power from making steam by burning coal or wood. We know the diesel electric engines get their power by burning diesel fuel, which generates electricity to run the train. Well, the electric trains use one of these. This is an electric shoe, or a collective shoe. The collective shoe is going to put its arm right down onto the rail, touching it, getting its electricity to make it go forward. Now let's go to the other side of the train, and Supervisor Morris is going to tell us all about the third rail and the collective shoe. Come on, hurry up. Okay, boys and girls, now we're on the other side of the train. Supervisor Morris and Firefighter George are still wearing our orange safety vests, which help us stay safe and let all the train see us. Now, Supervisor Morris is going to tell us how the electricity gets from the third rail onto the collective shoe to make the trains go.
Hello, boys and girls. This is what we call our third rail. It generates 750 watts. That's a lot of power. This electric rail is protected by a cover board, which is gray. It generates our electricity through our collective shoe. We get our power from the third rail, which generates the power through the collective shoe. We have 4 collective shoes on each car. Never do I would like to see you on this side of the track with this cover board.
Remember, boys and girls, that's very dangerous. You shouldn't even be near the train tracks. But if you ever see the third rail with the gray covering over it, get as far away as you can. That is very dangerous stuff here we're talking about. Now, like I said, the collective shoe rests on that rail, and that's where it gets its power from. Now let's go get in the train and see how it works. Come on.
I'm Engineer Gerald. This is a model train. This is an electric train. And we use these safety vests in the yard so the train operators can see us. Come on aboard my train, everyone.
Let's go on aboard. Come on. Okay, boys and girls, now we're in the engineer's cab of the electric train. Engineer Gerald is going to tell us how all of these controls go.
Hello again, boys and girls. The train is on. And all we have to do now is build a brake pipe. We build a brake pipe so that we can stop.
Good.
And once we got the brake pipe built, then we'll go down here and select a mode to operate in. And once we select the mode to operate in, we'll toot the horn. We toot the horn, and this is our throttle. This makes the train go fast or make it go slow. And here is the communication phone. We will talk to the Rail Control Center, and they will tell us about restrictions and other safety features that we need to look out for as we go on down the track. All the people down the track. And this keeps us safe. And then, this is the throttle. We will use the throttle to go fast or slow. Fast or slow. Toot the horn. Select the mode. Watch the speed. Move the throttle. Fast or slow. That keeps everyone safe.
What if you have to stop really fast, Engineer Gerald?
If we have to stop really fast, push this button. Train comes to an immediate stop.
That is great. So, boys and girls, here's the horn. To warn people. This is like the drive that makes the train go forward. This is how fast it can go. Fast or slow. This tells them how fast they're going, and that's the emergency brake in case they need to stop for an emergency. Now let's go for a ride on the train.
Come along, boys and girls. My hand is on the throttle. I'm going to make the train go. Toot my horn.
Great.
Away we go, boys and girls.
Here we go. Can I hit the horn, Engineer?
Sure.
All right.
All right, all right.
Mighty electric trains are very, very quiet. You can't even hear them coming down the tracks. That is why we must never, ever, ever go onto the tracks or get near the third rail. They are very, very dangerous.
Hey, come over here, boys and girls. Come look at this. We're gonna go right into the rail yard.
You're right at the front of the train. All right, boys and girls, that's the end of the electric trains. Engineer Gerald, thank you so much.
Geez, Fireman George, my pleasure. Really glad you came aboard.
Excellent. And remember, boys and girls, always stay seated on the trains and stay safe. Now let's go learn some more about some other trains. Come on. Bye-bye, Engineer Gerald.
Goodbye, Fireman George.
Look, boys and girls, it's the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus train. This is the largest privately owned passenger train in the whole world. These long gray cars in front are carrying all of the animals. The best ride is in the front of the train. This specially designed circus train has 57 rail cars and moves the entire show to every new town they visit. Today it is carrying 150 performing artists, tons and tons of equipment, and all of the animals, like the elephants and the horses and the tigers and the zebras. Look, you can see the entire train from the engine all the way to the caboose. Every animal has a traveling car that was built specifically for him or her. Inside the cars and above every animal, there are ceiling fans and lights. The elephants have their own misting system to keep them cool. And they each get their own window. There are even drains under each and every elephant. These special train cars are only used for moving the animals from one town to the next. As soon as they arrive, the animals are unloaded just as fast as possible. Each car carries its own set of heaters and its own water tank, and a room for the animal helpers who stay with the animals 24 hours a day while they're traveling. After all of the animals are off of the train, they will be walked to a stable setup at the arena where they stay throughout the show. On the last day in each town, after the last show is over, it is usually nighttime. The animals are walked back to the train with a police escort. Do you see the elephants and the horses and the zebras walking down the road back to the train? Once all the equipment has been loaded back onto the train, and right before the circus moves on to the next town, the animals are put back onto the train. Bye-bye, elephants. Bye-bye, horses. Let's all wave goodbye to the circus train. Okay, boys and girls, we've been learning a lot about the freight trains. Now, the freight trains carry cargo. Things like the tank car carries oil or gasoline, and the box car carries things like televisions and food. And the flat cars carry logs and lumber and things like that. Well, the other type of train is the passenger train. And the passenger train carries people. Sometimes people want to go from Los Angeles to Chicago, or maybe Atlanta to New York. Well, they don't have to drive sometimes, and they don't have to get on a plane. They can get on a train. Well, this part of the Amtrak train is what's called the baggage compartment. When you pack your baggage, and you put your bathing suit, and your shirts and your pants and your suitcase, well, when you go on the train, you have to have a place to store it. Well, it's going to be stored in the baggage compartment. Now let's go forward and learn about some more parts of the train. Come on.
Boys and girls, this is one of Firefighter Christy's favorite cars. It's the dining car. This is where we get to eat. Let's go see it. dining car's kitchen. There's a microwave, a toaster, room for dishes, a cake, a sink to do the dishes, and over here, there's a refrigerator. This is where they keep the food and the drinks cold. And over here, there's extra room for cups. And this is the dining car. It's where you get to eat. It's like a restaurant on wheels. You can take a seat, there's a candle, silverware, and a bottle of water. You can order anything from a hot dog and hamburger to chicken fingers, maybe even cake and ice cream. All this food's making me hungry. Let's go check out the sleeping car. If you're traveling at night, you're gonna need somewhere to sleep. That's why trains have bedrooms, and you can reserve a cabin to sleep in. During the day, it looks like this. You can sit here, watch the scenery go by, but at night, you're gonna need a bed. This bench I'm sitting on turns into a bed, and this folds down into a bed as well. I'll show you how it works. And here we go, bunk beds. There's a ladder to get up to the top bunk, and the bottom bunk has a window. There's even a bathroom. Aren't passenger trains fun? At night, you're gonna put your shoes in here. And the porter will come by, pick them up, clean them, shine them, and then put them back for you. On this side, there's a doorbell. Isn't this cool?
Okay, boys and girls. Now we only want to cross railroad tracks at approved crossings like this, right?
Right.
Right, and that's because they've raised the cement so the cement's the same level as the rail, so you can easily step over it. Number 2, never step on the rail, step over the rail. We don't want our foot getting stuck or even slipping on the rail, right?
No. Also, always be sure that you stay several feet away from the edge of the track. Sometimes trains can be very, very wide, even wider than the railroad tracks. So be sure you stay 15, 20 feet away. Also, when trains are going really fast, they create a suction, and that could pull you in, and you could fall inside the train tracks. So always, stay far away to the sides.
Stay well back from the tracks, boys and girls. Number 2, just because your train is passed, you always need to make sure another train is not coming back right behind that train or behind the other train that you can't see going the other direction. So always wait a couple seconds, even a couple minutes after the train goes past so you make sure that there's nothing else coming. Number 3, every time we go to the railroad tracks, we're gonna stop, we're gonna look both directions for trains. We're gonna listen if a train's coming, and then we're gonna live and walk across the track. Now look, there's no train coming, so let's go. Come on, let's walk across the tracks. Here we go, boys and girls. Come on, boys and girls, watch this. Okay, stop. We look both directions. We listen. And now we cross. Bye-bye, boys and girls.
Bye-bye.
Boys and girls, today we visited a rail yard, a railroad museum, and the circus train. We had special permission to look at the trains and equipment on the tracks. At home, remember, tracks are for trains, not for kids. Walking or playing on railroad tracks, or even in a rail yard or in a tunnel, is illegal, and it is very, very dangerous. Stay off. Stay away, stay alive. When you need to cross the railroad tracks, look for a designated crossing where there is a road or a sidewalk. That is the only place you should cross the railroad tracks. Remember to look both ways and listen for a train every time you cross over the railroad tracks, so you will live. And if you need to wait for the train to go by, stand way back from the tracks. When the last car of the train has gone past, wait and look carefully in both directions. There could be another train coming from either direction. And remember, never, ever, ever go near a train without an adult like Brakeman Eric or Firefighter George present to help keep you safe. Trains can move at any time, and you should never try to climb on the train cars when they are stopped or ever go between the cars. The engineer cannot see you, and you do not know when he is going to move the train again. If you want to look at parts of the train up close, ask for an adult to help you, but never, ever, ever go near the train, even at a museum, without an adult present. Everybody wave goodbye to Conductor Steve. Startsmarter's sincerest appreciation to Operation Lifesaver, train safety for children. The North Carolina Transportation Museum, Spencer, North Carolina. The Blue Ridge Scenic Railway, Blue Ridge, Georgia. MARTA, Atlanta, Georgia. The Tennessee Valley Railroad, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus, Vienna, Virginia. And Georgia Northeastern Railroad, Marietta, Georgia. And the Southeastern Railway Museum, Duluth, Georgia.